Hello everybody, Justice R. Stone here with the latest Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi ratings. Yes, it is of course that time of year where Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi polls their readers and also reviewers of light novels and people in the publishing industry and asks them what the best light novels of the past year have been. And of course, they apply some kind of magic formula and they come out with a whole bunch of rankings. Yes, that's a horrible oversimplification, but Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi is always a little bit interesting just because, if anything, it is almost always a decent predictor of what is going to get an anime adaptation and also what we will probably see licensed in English. So every year, all of us English fans take a look at the ranking and go, I wonder what is and is not licensed and what might eventually get licensed. Well, I'm here to talk to you today about the top 10 Bunkobon list, and I will be also doing the top 10 Tonkobon. I'll do that in a separate video. Stay tuned until the end of this video. I'll put a link somewhere on the screen where you can check that one out. Now, Bunkobon, of course, the smaller size, usually not as high grade paper, kind of equivalent if you're in North America to what we would call like a mass market paperback. So in any case, let's get right to the list. There's 10 of these titles and only 4 of them are currently available in English. So quite a few new titles to check out, and let's get right into it. So at number 10, we have Bullet Code Firewall. This is written by Suzu Saitou with illustrations by Wata. This is not VR. This is real war. When you die, that's where your life ends. Project Firewall is a VR war experience study for youths to prevent the tragedy of war. It was supposed to be a mere plaything, but one day it suddenly turned into a program of chaos. An unscheduled raid by soldiers, not even people but mysterious enemies, and the looming danger of death in reality. A young boy, Yuma Furuhashi, who is caught up in this unusual situation with his high school classmates, is rescued by a team led by Chitose Amamiya, a soldier with the 4th highest score in the world, and a girl known as Frostbiter. Overcoming conflicts and tragedies, they get to the bottom of the project. And what will they find at the end? So hey, another you die in the game, you die in real life kind of story. This is so original. I've never heard of anything like it before. At number 9, we have Alya-san, who sits beside me and sometimes murmurs affectionately in Russian. This one is written by Sunsunsun with illustrations by Momoco. Follow the story of the ice-cold perfect beauty, the half-Russian Alisa Alya Mikhailovna Kujo, and your average high school underachiever, Masachika Kuze. She has a cold exterior, but speaks her love in a language she thinks nobody understands. Little does she know that he understands her just fine. Enjoy the silly slice of life romance between Snow Princess and Mr. Worldwide. Now, this has actually been kind of interesting with Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi the last couple of years. The Bunkobon list has had a lot of slice of life on it. And honestly, this year's not that different. I would say there's probably a little, maybe a bit more. Well, no, actually, as I take a look at the list, there's not a lot. There's just a little bit more fantasy type stories, but honestly, a lot of them are your slice of life rom-com type titles. So it's kind of interesting. Definitely, this is something been like the last now, I guess is what, the 3rd year that this trend has been really obvious with Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi. And if you notice in the English market, we seem to be getting some more rom-coms getting licensed, partly in thanks to Tantei Books, who I think it's just because Alex is a fan of the genre, but I think we're going to see this kind of be like the next bigger thing with light novels, maybe kind of supplanting some of that isekai dominance that we've had for so long. At number 8, we have The Detective is Already Dead. This one written by Nigojū with illustrations by Umibozu. This one is available in English from Yen on. When the story begins without its hero. Kimihiko Kimizuka has always been a magnet for trouble and intrigue. For as long as he can remember, he's been stumbling across murder scenes or receiving mysterious attaché cases to transport. When he meets Siesta, a brilliant detective fighting a secret war against an organization of pseudo-humans, he couldn't resist the call to become her assistant and join her on an epic journey across the world. Until a year ago, that is. Now, he's returned to a life that is normal and tepid by comparison, knowing the adventure must be over. After all, the detective is already dead. So this one just recently had an anime, which doesn't sound like it did a whole lot to boost the popularity of the title in English. But yeah, I mean, again, not obviously slice of life rom-com, but at least set in our world. I mean, I guess like ultimately the thing to say about this list is that it's not isekai. I'd like, aside from a VR game, being trapped in a VR game, there is no isekai on this Bunkobon list, which I find kind of interesting, honestly. At number 7, we have Days with My Stepsister. This one is written by Ghost Mikawa with illustrations by Hiten. From classmates to brother and sister living under the same roof. After his father's remarriage, Asamura Yuta ends up getting a new stepsister. Coincidentally, the number one beauty of the school year, Ayase Saki. Having learned important values when it comes to man-woman relationships through the previous ones of their parents, they promise each other not to be too close, not to be too opposing, and to merely keep a vague and comfortable distance. On one hand, Saki, who has worked in solitude for the sake of her family, doesn't know how to properly rely on others, whereas Yuta is unsure of how to really treat her. Standing on fairly equal ground, these two slowly learn the comfortable sensation of living together. The relationship slowly evolves from being strangers the more the days pass. Eventually, this could end up in a story about love, for all we know. Ah, yes, Japan. How you enjoy your, we're brother and sister, but not really, so it's okay if we get together. At number 6, another rom-com. This one we do have available for English release, and that is The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. This one is written by Seiyaki-san with illustrations by Hazuno Kazutake. It's licensed for English, like I said, by Yen On. A heavenly encounter. Mahiro is a beautiful girl whose classmates call her an angel. Not only is she a star athlete with perfect grades, she's also drop-dead gorgeous. Amane, an average guy and self-admitted slob, has never thought much of the divine beauty, despite attending the same school. Everything changes, however, when he happens to see Mahiro sitting alone in a park during a rainstorm. Thus begins the strange relationship between this incredibly unlikely pair. It's funny, like this is one of those series you don't hear a lot about in terms of people talking about it, but I know like CL read this one and didn't think it was that bad. She thought it was all right. And also it was on Kono Light Novel Gosugoi last year too. So I don't know. Is it good? Is it maybe the next big rom-com? I don't know. Actually, no, it's not the next big rom-com. The next big rom-com is still to come on the list. At number 5, we have Propeller Opera. This is written by Koroku Inumura with illustrations by Hitomi Shizuki. The archipelagic nation of the Far East, Hino, First Imperial Princess Ibuya, was the captain of the heavy aerial destroyer Ibuki. Naturally, all of the airship's crew were her fans. Out of the blue came a new crew member of the ship, the protagonist, Kuroto. Kuroto was the scion of the Kuronomiya House, which was a subsidiary of the Imperial House, and also he was Ibuya's childhood friend. But He committed an unforgivable crime that led to his expulsion from the imperial house, which was desertion to their enemy country, the United States of Gamaria. How dare you show your face? But Kuroto interrupted her. I came back to save Hono from the monsters commanded by Gamaria. So this one was on Kono Light Novel Gasugoi last year as well, and I find it interesting. Like, this is probably, I'm just taking a quick scan through, one of the higher placed fantasy titles on the Bunko title list. And I wondered it last year, and I have never found out the answer, whether when he says that he came back to save them from the monsters commanded by Gamaria, I kind of still wonder, are these truly monsters? Or is it just mean like they're monstrous people in their military? I don't really know. But I was kind of curious about it. Propeller opera. I'm kind of curious whether it's a, sort of a airship battle, like with planes and everything, propeller planes, stuff like that. It could be kind of cool. At number 4, Mimosa no Kokuhaku. I couldn't really find a very good English translation for that. It's written by Mei Hachimoku with illustrations by Kuka. The confession will change the world. Sakima Kamiki, a dull high school student living in a provincial city, has a perfect childhood friend. Shio Tsukinoki, Sakima's childhood friend, is more attractive than handsome, almost like a beautiful girl. In addition, he is a good athlete and always gets top grades. To top it all off, he is very popular, especially among the girls. The two were childhood friends and got along better than anyone else. But after entering high school, they became estranged. Due to past trauma and a sense of inferiority towards Shio, Sakima's personality became completely twisted. However, Sakime finds someone he likes. Natsuki Hoshibara, the beloved character of the class. Sakima and Natsuki hit it off when they talk about their novels, and he was swept away by the passion of love. However, that night, Sakima sees something unbelievable in the park. Shio Tsukinoki, wearing a sailor suit and crying. The story is set in a school in a rural town, a story of love and change, set in a lonely, quiet town. So, this one is kind of interesting. My question immediately is this going to deal with like transgender issues? Or and which way? Like, was his friend always a girl, but living as a boy during, like, I guess before high school? And then now has decided to live as a girl in high school? Or is it the other way around? Or is it not that at all and it's something completely different? I don't know, but given that light novels don't often deal with, okay, I say not often. Truly, there are some light novels that deal with things like, LGBTQ issues, such as like I'm in love with the villainess. There are light novels that do, but it's not often that you really see like ones that are super popular, that become kind of wider known. And so I'm curious about this one, and I'm hoping that it doesn't treat it like a joke, although based on the tone, even of just this really, roughly translated description, it sounds like it isn't. It sounds like it could be like sort of a legitimate thing. I should have looked to see more if I could find anything more about the author. That one could be interesting. It'll be interesting if we ever see that one get licensed in English. At number 3, we have Classroom of the Elite. This one written by Shogo Kinugasa with illustrations by Shunsaku Tomose. This one is licensed for English release by 7 Seas. Currently in Japan, they're actually into sort of the quote-unquote sequel, the Year 2. That one's also already been announced that it's going to be coming out in English from 7 Seas once they finish with, I guess, what we'll call Year 1. So students of the prestigious Tokyo Metropolitan Advanced Nurturing High School are given remarkable freedom if they can win, barter, or save enough points to work their way up in the ranks. Ayano Koji Kiyotaka has landed at the bottom in the scorned Class D, where he meets Horikito Suzune, who's determined to rise up the ladder to Class A. Can they beat the system in a school where cutthroat competition is the name of the game? Again, a series that is wildly popular in Japan. I couldn't get into it. I don't know. I know lots of people really enjoy the series and think very highly of it. I couldn't get into the book and I couldn't even get into the anime, so I don't know. I guess it's just not for me. At number 2, we have Spring, Summer, Autumn, Winter Agent. This is written by Kana Akatsuki with illustrations by Suo. Now, this, funny enough, of all the books that I have the description for, this is the only one that actually mentioned that it is written by the author of Violet Evergarden. So, obviously, that's had a fairly well-regarded anime adaptation, and I'm guessing that's probably why. Although, despite that, we don't have Violet Evergarden licensed in English, so I don't know if we're going to see this one either. But anyway, spring is here, safe and sound. The only season in the world is winter. And winter, unable to bear its loneliness, shaved part of its life and created spring. Eventually, summer and autumn were born at the wish of the earth, completing the 4 seasons. It was decided that a human child would be responsible for the changing of the seasons, and the one who fulfilled this role was called the agent of the 4 seasons. Now, a little goddess is about to stand up with a sense of mission in her heart. The season given to her by the god of the 4 seasons is spring. Her mother gave her the name Hinagiko. This is the spring of this country that disappeared 10 years ago. Hinagiko overcame her hardships and returned as a living god. She walks with her servant girl to fight against those who have kidnapped her and humiliated her for so long. In the depths of her heart, just like in mythology, there is a love for winter. Now, this one, obviously, you guys are picking up on all the whole, like, kidnapping of spring and blah, blah. Like, I mean, lots of different myths all have to do with the season. So I would be curious to see just how much of this one draws on specific mythologies that are existing, or whether it just kind of does its own spin on the whole thing. I'd be curious to know that aspect of it. And finally, at number 1, yeah, this was the next big rom-com that I was talking about, and that is Chitose-kun is in the Ramune bottle. This is written by Hiromu with illustrations by Rames. It's licensed for English by Yen On. I think actually the first volume is currently set for a February 2022 release. It was actually just announced that they were licensing it this year. As far as normies go, it's hard to beat Saku Chitose. The most popular kid in his high school? Check. An ironclad reputation that can weather even vicious online attacks? Check. A friend group that's as attractive on the outside as they are on the inside? Check. But when a teacher asks Saku to help reacclimate a student who's been a shutaway in his room for months to school life, his perfect world will never be the same. What is this? Some kind of normie harem story? This one has gotten a lot of hype, and like I said, it's not a joke that really this one has the potential to become the next really big rom-com. So, I mean, definitely keep an eye out for it. In any case, that is the top 10 Bunkobon titles from Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi, the 2022 edition. Yes, they name it for the year where it'll be primarily the edition in print, obviously, because it's coming out just at the tail end of 2021. So what are your thoughts? Leave them down in the comments down below. Obviously, a lot of slice of life. Once again, no isekai titles. Once again, this is a real trend in the whole Bunkobon list, and I don't know if that is just because a lot of isekai are printed in tankobon, or whether it represents the audience that mostly reads Bunkobon. I don't know. But I'd be curious to find out if anybody has some insight into that. So in any case, big thank you to all of my YouTube members that help keep the lights on and help keep me supported and, make me feel loved and appreciated. I mean, I say that kind of as a joke, but I mean it. Like, honestly, I really do. And thank you for checking out this video. Like I said, I'll put a link to the top 10 Bunkobon video. I'm going to have that posted here as well, so you can see what that ranked in the Kono Light Novel ga Sugoi. Thank you so much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.